नाथ मरण मोहन जू की जाय नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतश्मद श्रील भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जाय नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतश्मद श्रील भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतश्मद श्रील भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाय नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतश्मद श्रील भक्ति विज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जाय नितिल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शतश्मद श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जाय नितिल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्रील गोक्षरस बाबाजी महाराज की जाय नितिल प्रविष्ट श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जाय नितिल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव जगदास महाराज की जाय श्री रूपनु गौरिय गार्ग की जाय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल दास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जाय श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जाय नाम चय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाय सर्व अभिष्ट विरक्त गिरिराज महाराज की जाय श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जाय श्री मुन देवी गंगा देवी की जाय श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जाय श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जाय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव श्री भक्ति विघ्न विनाशंकरी श्री नृसिंह भगवान की जाय भक्त प्रवार श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जाय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जाय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाय समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय श्रीनिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि वो All right, coming to you live from Tokyo, Haneda, I think it's called, Japan. It's kind of fun doing it. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam reading in the airport. I don't want to face the window. I just kind of thought this was a fun background, but I don't know. I can face the window. You can see me all right though, can't you? Dandavat pranams everybody. Okay, I'm going to do Mangalacharanam. One second. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad-Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Itadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tara Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahaka Tara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Bhine Dostam Sarva Bhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskrityam Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Shrinvatang Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Suritsatam Nashta Prayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavai Vasmi Najivami Tvaya Vina iti vigyaya radhe tvam nayamam charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparadalakshay kshiptashtakamadittaranga madhe kripa maitam sharanam prapanna vrinde namaste charanarvindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams Ganga Didi and Madhavi Didi. Dandavat pranams Rupa Manjari and Gargarabji. Dandavat pranams Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji. Yes, Madhavi Didi, it all went smooth. Although I wasn't able to sleep at all, so I'm a bit like a zombie right now. We'll see how the reading goes. Today's a bit of a long reading day also, over 6,000 words. Anyways, yeah, I'm kind of feel like I'm in a dream right now. It's not so cold. All right, Indira Mataji. Yes. Yes. All right, Indira Mataji. You'll be catching up soon. I know you're already caught up, pretty much almost caught up. All right, Dandavat pranams, everybody. Let's start. Okay. Where are we? What verse are we doing? We're 41 to 55. Okay. I'm going to be talking a little softly because there are people all around me. All right. What is it? Okay, 41. Find 41. Okay, so let's do the recap first. I'm gonna shut off this light. Okay. What the heck? Okay, good. Okay, I know I've done this so many times, but anyways, I'm just gonna do it again. So after Nṛsiṁhadeva, the Lord captured Hiranyakashipu along with his club and then gave him a chance to slip from his hands, just as Garuda plays with a snake. But the demigods who were hiding behind the clouds didn't consider it very good. Hiranyakashipu falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess. After a while, he again attacked the Lord with sword and shield. Laughing loudly, the Lord captured Hiranyakashipu. With the speed of a hawk, Hiranyakashipu moved everywhere, but with eyes closed due to fear. Lord Nṛsiṁha captured Hiranyakashipu just as a snake captures a mouse, or Garuda captures a snake. The Lord placed the demon on his lap in the doorway and easily tore him to pieces with his nails, though his body couldn't be pierced by thunderbolt. To keep the promise of Brahma intact, we all know that. Lord Nṛsiṁha's, after he killed Hiranyakashipu, his mouth and mane were sprinkled with blood. His eyes were fierce and impossible to look at. He was licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue. He was decorated with a garland of the demon's intestines. He resembled a lion that had just killed an elephant. The Lord uprooted Hiranyakashipu's heart and threw it aside. He then killed the other demons who came to attack, merely with the ends of his nails. This is so good. The hair on his head shook the clouds and shook and scattered the clouds. His glaring eyes stole the effulgence of the luminaries. His breathing agitated the seas and oceans. His roaring made all the elephants cry in fear. His hair threw the airplanes into outer space. His lotus feet made the earth appear to slip, and all the mountains sprang up. His effulgence diminished to the natural illumination of the sky and directions. Lord Nṛsiṁha sat on Hiranyakashipu's throne, seeing no contestant to face his power. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward. That is, all the demons immediately accepted the Lord's supremacy. Hiranyakashipu was like a fever of meningitis for the three worlds. At his death, the wives of the demigods repeatedly showered flowers on Lord Nṛsiṁha in great joy. The sky was crowded with the airplanes of the demigods, who began beating drums and kettle drums. The heavenly women danced, and the Gandharvas sang sweetly. All the demigods and sages offered respects to Lord Nṛsiṁha. Brahma, Shiva, Indra, the Pitris, Siddhas, Vidharas, Nagas, Gandharvas, Apsaras, and many others came. And then we read all their prayers. And then when the demigods failed to appease Lord Nṛsiṁha, Prahlāda pacifies him with prayers. The demigods dared not approach Lord Nṛsiṁha at that time because he was absorbed in the mood of anger. Even Lakshmi couldn't approach the Lord, even though requested by the demigods, saying that she had never seen such an astonishing form before. Brahma then requested Prahlāda to go forward and appease the angry Lord Nṛsiṁha. Little Prahlāda proceeded toward the Lord and fell at his feet to offer obeisances. When the small boy Prahlāda prostrated at the soles of his lotus feet, Lord Nṛsiṁha saw him and became overwhelmed with affection for him. Raising Prahlāda, the Lord placed his lotus hand upon the boy's head, because his hand creates fearlessness to those whose minds are afraid of the snake of time. By the touch of the Lord's hand, Prahlāda was completely freed of all material contamination. He immediately manifested realization of the Supreme Soul. In transcendental bliss, he captured the Lord's lotus feet within the core of his heart. His body showed ecstatic symptoms, his heart was softened with love, and his eyes with tears. Prahlāda began his prayers to Hari with focused mind and full attention, with love and in a faltering voice, by fixing his heart and sight on Lord Nṛsiṁha. Lord Nṛsiṁha, sorry, Nṛsiṁha. Okay, so down here, it gives a synopsis of all of Prahlāda's prayers. Let's just look at that. There's a chart, because we've already gone through this a couple of times. Okay, so first Prahlāda, he prepares to pray. Oh Lord, how can I satisfy you when even the devas and munis failed? No material qualification can satisfy you. Only bhakti can. A low-born devotee is better than a Brahman non-devotee. Our offerings are for our benefit, not for your benefit. Our offerings to you are for our benefit. You don't need us to offer prayers to you, but we're purified when we offer prayers. I will offer prayers as per my ability, for my purification. Then he requests the Lord to give up his anger. The demigods are not fearful like us. You incarnate for your pleasure pastimes and protection of the universe. Your present form causes fearlessness. Please give up your anger. And seeking the Lord's shelter. I am not afraid of your fearful form. I am afraid of conditioned life. I need your shelter. Material dualities have miserable remedies. The only real remedy is your service. I will chant your glories in the parampara and cross this nescience. Coming in the line. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Lord Nṛsiṁha is the only shelter. Your energies manifest everything. Your shelter liberates us from Maya. You are the controller of Maya, so you can deliver us. Previous experience. I have seen the futility of Ayu, long age, Shriya, having wealth, beauty, and Vibhav, having great opulence like the demigods. I've seen all this, the futility of all this of my father. Let me serve your pure devotee sincerely. The happiness of this world is insubstantial. The Supreme Lord's mercy. You have mercifully put your hand on my head, which you haven't even bestowed that that favor on Lakshmi, Shiva, and Brahma. You are reciprocal, not partial. I want to serve Narad Muni, who saved me. You proved your devotee Narad's words true by saving me. The Lord and the cosmos. This is what we read yesterday. Whatever exists is you alone. You and the cosmos are related, but you are aloof. As Mahavishnu, your yoga nidra is transcendental. As Garbhodakshay Vishnu, you gave birth to Brahma, who did tapasya and saw you. As Hayagriva, you gave the Vedas to Brahma. You are Tri-yuga. Let's read from 39 here, more detailed. That was really beautiful. Okay. Prahlāda's humility and concern for fallen souls. Oh God, it's really starting to hit me, my sleep, all of a sudden. Okay. Haribol Rasai Shri Mataji. Dandavat pranams. Wait, is everything okay? Yeah. Alright. Oh Krishna. Okay. O Lord of Vaikuntha, my uncontrollable and dishonest mind is polluted by sinful activities, and it is not satisfied with your topics. It is afflicted by lust, so-called joy, distress, lamentation, fear, and the desire for money. In such a mental status, how then can this wretch think of your activities? In the next verse, Prahlāda gives the reason why his mind has become so sinful. O infallible Lord, my unsatisfied tongue pulls me to palatable dishes. My genitals pull me for sex. My skin pulls me to touch soft things. My belly wants to eat more. My ear is attracted to mundane music. My sense of smell pulls in another way. My restless eyes wants to see scenes of sense gratification, and my active senses are attracted elsewhere. I am like a person with many wives, each pulling him in her own way. Thus, I have no time for chanting your glories. Prahlāda, a pure devotee, prays not only for himself, but for the deliverance of all other living entities suffering in this material world. Okay, let's continue from there. Now, where is it? There. Okay. Evam sakarma patitam pavavaitaranyam anyonya janma maranashana bhita bhitam pasyanjanam sapara vigraha vaira maitram ante tripara charapi prihi murdamadya. My dear Lord, you are always transcendently situated on the other side of the river of death. But because of the reactions of our own activities, we are suffering on this side. Indeed, we have fallen into this river and are repeatedly suffering the pains of birth and death and eating horrible things. Now kindly look upon us, not only upon me, but also upon all others who are suffering, and by your causeless mercy and compassion, deliver us and maintain us. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prahlāda Maharaj, a pure Vaishnava, prays to the Lord not only for himself, but for all others. Suffering living entities. There are two classes of Vaishnavas: the Bhajananandis and the Goshtanandis. The Bhajananandis worship the Lord only for their own personal benefit. But no, this is no. The Bhajananandis worship the Lord only for their own personal benefit, but the Goshtanandis try to elevate all others to Krishna consciousness so that they may be saved. Fools who cannot perceive repeated birth and death and the other miseries of materialistic life cannot be sure of what will happen to them in their next birth. Indeed, these foolish, materially contaminated rascals have manufactured an irresponsible way of life that does not consider the next life. They do not know that according to one's own activities, one receives a body selected from 8,400,000 species. These rascals have been described in Bhagavad Gita as dushkritino mudha. Non-devotees, those who are not Krishna conscious, must engage in sinful activities, and therefore they are mudas, they are fools and rascals. They are such fools that they do not know what will happen to them in their next life. Although they see varieties of living creatures eating abominable things, pigs eating stool, crocodiles eating all kinds of flesh, and so on, they do not realize that they themselves, because of their practice of eating all kinds of nonsense things in this life, will be destined to eat the most abominable things in their next life. A Vaishnava is always afraid of such an abominable life, and to free himself from such horrible conditions, he engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. The Lord is compassionate to them, and therefore he appears for their benefit. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. I'm going to sit in a chair now. Oh. 1 second. Oh, wait, let me get my mask just in case you ask me to put it on. Okay. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominance of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Bhagavad Gita 4:7. The Lord is always ready to help the fallen souls, but because they are fools and rascals, they do not take to Krishna consciousness and abide by the instructions of Krishna. Therefore, although Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is personally the Supreme Lord Krishna, he comes as a devotee to preach the Krishna consciousness movement. Jare dekho tare koho Krishna upadesh. One must therefore become a sincere servant of Krishna. Amar agyay guru hoy tar e desh. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 7:128. One should become a guru and spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Yes.
So your flight is JL6.
Yeah.
So 6. So to New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I'm going to LAX. LAX.
So you don't JL6.
Yeah.
You show me the boarding pass.
Sorry guys, 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. One should therefore become a sincere servant of Krishna. Amar agyay guru hoye tar e desh. One should become a guru and spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, simply by preaching the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. 1 second. Let me just see if everything's working. Okay, looks like it. Okay. Kontvatra kila guru bhagavan paryasa uttaranesya bhavasam bhavalopaheto mudeshu vai maharanugraha artha bandho kim tena te priyajanan anusevatangna. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, original spiritual master of the entire world, what is the difficulty for you, who manage the affairs of the universe, in delivering the fallen souls engaged in your devotional service? You are the friend of all suffering humanity, and for great personalities, it is necessary to show mercy to the foolish. Therefore, I think that you will show your causeless mercy to persons like us, who engage in your service. Purport. Here the words Priya Janan Anusevatang Na indicate that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very favorable to devotees who act according to the instructions of his own pure devotee. In other words, one must become the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. If one wants to become the servant of the Lord directly, this is not as fruitful as engaging in the service of the Lord's servant. This is the direction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who shows us the way to become Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Das Dasanudasaha. One should not be proud of becoming directly the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, one must seek a pure devotee, a servant of the Lord, and engage oneself in the service of such a servant. The more one becomes the servant of the servant, the more one becomes perfect in devotional service. This is also the injunction of Bhagavad Gita, Evang parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu. It's Bhagavad Gita 4:2. One can understand the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by the parampara system. In this regard, Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Tadera charana sevi bhakta sanivas Let me serve the lotus feet of the devotees of the Lord, and let me live with the devotees. Janame hoy e abhilash. Following Narottam Das Thakur, one should aspire to be the servant of the Lord's servant, life after life. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also sings, Tumi to Thakura tomara kukura bolia jana ho more. O my Lord, O Vaishnav, please consider me your dog. Wow, that's really neat that Srila Prabhupada writes O Vaishnav here. Like usually the song Sarvasa Tomar is written just for like the Lord, Krishna, but here it's referring to the Vaishnav also. That's really neat. One must become the dog of a Vaishnav, a pure devotee, for a pure devotee can deliver Krishna without difficulty. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro. Krishna is the property of his pure devotee, and if we take shelter of a pure devotee, he can deliver Krishna very easily. Prahlāda wants to engage in the service of a devotee, and therefore he prays to Krishna, My dear Lord, kindly give me shelter of your very dear devotee, so that I may engage in his service, and you may then be pleased. Mar Bhakta Puja Bhyadhika. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11:19-21. The Lord says, engaging in the service of my devotee is better than trying to engage in my devotional service. Another significant point in this verse is that by devotional service, Prahlāda Maharaj does not want to benefit alone. Rather, he prays to the Lord that all of us fallen souls in this material world may, by the grace of the Lord, engage in the service of his servant, and thus be delivered. The grace of the Lord is not at all difficult for the Lord to bestow, and thus Prahlāda Maharaj wants to save the whole world by spreading Krishna consciousness. Naivo dvije paraduratyaya vaitaranyas tadvirya gayana mahamrita magna chitta shochetato vimuka chetasa indriyartha maya sukhaya bharam udvahato vimudan. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. Purport. Throughout the entire world, everyone is making big plans to adjust the miseries of the material world, and this is true at present, in the past, and in the future. Nonetheless, although they make elaborate political, social, and cultural plans, they have all been described herein as vimura, fools. The material world has been described in Bhagavad Gita as dukkhalayam ashashvatam, Bhagavad Gita 8:15, temporary and miserable. But these fools are trying to turn the material world into sukhalayam, a place of happiness, not knowing how everything acts by the arrangement of material nature, which works in her own way. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimurtma kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by nature. Bhagavad Gita 3:27. There is a plan for material nature, personally known as Durga, to punish the demons. Although the asuras, the godless demons, struggle for existence, they are directly attacked by the goddess Durga, who is well equipped with 10 hands with different types of weapons to punish them. She is carried by her lion carrier, or the modes of passion and ignorance. Everyone struggles very hard to fight through the modes of passion and ignorance and conquer material nature. But at the end, everyone is vanquished by nature's laws. There is a river known as Vaitarani between the material and spiritual worlds, and one must cross this river to reach the other side, or the spiritual world. This is an extremely difficult task, as the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 7:14, Daivi Hesha Gunamai Mama Maya Durataya. This divine energy of mind, consisting of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. The same word durataya, meaning very difficult, is used here. Therefore, one cannot surpass the stringent laws of material nature except by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Nonetheless, although all materialists are baffled in their plans, they try again and again to become happy in this material world. Therefore, they have been described as vimura, first-class fools. As for Prahlāda Maharaj, he was not at all unhappy, for although he was in the material world, he was full of Krishna consciousness. Those who are Krishna conscious, trying to serve the Lord, are not unhappy, whereas one who has no assets in Krishna consciousness is struggling for existence. He is not only foolish, but extremely unhappy also. Prahlāda Maharaj was happy and unhappy simultaneously. He felt happiness and transcendental bliss because of his being Krishna conscious. Yet he felt great unhappiness for the fools and rascals who make elaborate plans to be happy in this material world. Okay. Prayena deva munaya savimukti kama maunam charanti vijane na parartha nishta naitan vihaya kripanan vimumukshu eko nanyam tarasya sharanam brahmato nupashye. My dear Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance. Not caring for the big cities and towns, they go to the Himalayas or to the forest to meditate with vows of silence, monavrat. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to your shelter. I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. Purport. This is the decision of the Vaishnava, the pure devotee of the Lord. For himself, he has no problems, even if he has to stay in this material world, because his only business is to remain in Krishna consciousness. The Krishna conscious person can go even to hell and still be happy. Therefore, Prahlāda Maharaj said, Naivo dije patyaya vaitaranya. O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. The pure devotee is never unhappy in any condition of life. This is confirmed in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 6:17-28. Narayana para sarve nakutascha nabibhyati svarga pavarga narakeshvapitul darshinaha. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. For a devotee, being situated in the heavenly planets and being in the hellish planets are equal. For a devotee lives neither in heaven nor in hell, but with Krishna in the spiritual world. The secret of success for the devotee is not understood by the karmis and jnanis. Karmis therefore try to be happy by material adjustment, and jnanis want to be happy by becoming one with the Supreme. The devotee has no such interest. He is not interested in so-called meditation in the Himalayas or in the forest. Rather, his interest is in the busiest part of the world, where he teaches the people Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness movement was started for this purpose. We do not teach one to meditate in a secluded place just so that one may show that he has become very much advanced and may be proud of his so-called transcendental meditation, although he engages in all sorts of foolish materialistic activity. A Vaishnava like Prahlāda Maharaj is not interested in such a bluff of spiritual advancement. Rather, he is interested in enlightening people in Krishna consciousness because that is the only way for them to become happy. Prahlāda Maharaj says clearly, Nanyam tvad asya sharanam brahmato nupashye. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. One wanders within the universe, life after life, but by the grace of a devotee, a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can get the clue to Krishna consciousness, and then not only become happy in this world, but also return home, back to Godhead. That is the real target in life. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement are not at all interested in so-called meditation in the Himalayas or the forests, where one will only make a show of meditation. Nor are they interested in opening many schools for yoga and meditation in the cities. Rather, every member of the Krishna consciousness movement is interested in going door to door to try to convince people about the teachings of Bhagavad Gita as it is, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That is the purpose of the Hare Krishna movement. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement must be fully convinced that without Krishna, one cannot be happy. Thus, the Krishna conscious person avoids all kinds of pseudo-spiritualists, transcendentalists, meditators, monists, philosophers, and philanthropists. Yan maitunadi grihamedi sukam hitucham kandu yanena karayori haduka dukam tripyanti neha kripana bahudukha bhaja kandu tivan manasi jam vishaheta dhira. Sex life is compared to the rubbing of two hands to relieve an itch. Grihamedis, so-called grihastas who have no spiritual knowledge, think that this itching is the greatest platform of happiness, although actually it is a source of distress. The Kripanas, the fools who are just the opposite of Brahmanas, are not satisfied by repeated sensuous enjoyments. Those who are dhira, however, who are sober and who tolerate this itching, are not subjected to the sufferings of fools and rascals. Wow, this is a really...
Departing for New York, John F. Kennedy. Passengers on this flight.
Strong verse. Okay, purport.
Gate 110.
Materialists think that sexual indulgence is the greatest happiness in this material world, and therefore they make elaborate plans to satisfy their senses, especially the genitals. This is generally found everywhere, and specifically found in the Western world, where there are regular arrangements to satisfy sex life in different ways. Actually, however, this has not made anyone happy. Even the hippies, who have given up all the materialistic comforts of their fathers and grandfathers, cannot give up the sensational happiness of sex life. Such persons are described here as kripanas, or misers. The human form of life is a great asset, for in this life one can fulfill the goal of existence. Unfortunately, however, because of a lack of education and culture, people are victimized by the false happiness of sex life. Prahlāda Maharaj therefore advises one not to be misled by the civilization of sense gratification, and especially not by sex life. Rather, one should be sober, avoid sense gratification, and be Krishna conscious. The lusty person who is compared to a foolish miser never gets happiness by sense gratification. The influence of material nature is very difficult to surpass, but as stated by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 7:14, Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etang tarantite. If one voluntarily submits to the lotus feet of Krishna, he can be saved very easily. In reference to the low-grade happiness of sex life, Yamunacharya says in this connection, Yadavadhi mama cheta Krishna padaravinde nava nava rasadhama nudhyata ratum asit tadavadi patam nari sangame smaryamane bhavati mukha vikara shushtu nishti vanam cha. Since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought. My lips curl with distaste. Yamunacharya had formerly been a great king who enjoyed sexual happiness in various ways, but since he later engaged himself in the service of the Lord, he enjoyed spiritual bliss and hated to think of sex life. If sexual thoughts came to him, he would spit with disgust. Okay. Mauna vrata shuta tapo dhyayana swadharma vyakyaraho japa samardhaya apavargya praya param purushate tvachitendriyanam varta bhavantuta navatra tudambikanam. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are 10 prescribed methods on the path to liberation: to remain silent, not to speak to anyone, to observe vows, to amass all kinds of Vedic knowledge, to undergo austerities, to study the Vedas and other Vedic literatures, to execute the duties of Varnashram Dharma, to explain the Shastras, to stay in a solitary place, to chant mantras silently, and to be absorbed in trance. These different methods for liberation are generally not only a professional practice and means of livelihood for those who have not conquered These different methods of liberation are generally only a professional practice and means of livelihood for those who have not conquered their senses. Because such persons are falsely proud, these procedures may not be successful. Purport. As stated in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 6.1.15. Sorry, just getting a little more comfortable. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana agam dhunvanti kartsnena niharam eva bhaskara. Only a rare person who has adopted complete unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful actions with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. The real purpose of human life is to attain liberation from material entanglement. One second, I'm just getting my mouse. Oops, sorry. I have to not get too comfortable though, or otherwise I'll fall asleep. Okay. All right. Okay, now. What did I say? Okay, only a rare person who has adopted complete unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful actions with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. The real purpose of human life is to attain liberation from material entanglement. Such liberation may be achieved by many methods. Tapasya brahmacharyena shamena chadamena cha. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 6.1.13. But all of them, more or less, depend on tapasya, austerity, which begins with celibacy. Shukadeva Goswami says that those who are Vasudeva Parayana, who have fully surrendered to the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva Krishna, automatically achieve the results of mona, silence, vrat, vows, and other such methods simply by discharging devotional service. In other words, these methods are not so powerful. If one takes to devotional service, all of them are very easily performed. Mona, for example, does not mean that one should stop speaking. The tongue is meant for speaking, although sometimes, to make a big show, a person remains silent. There are many who observe silence some day in a week. Vaishnavas, however, do not observe such silence. Silence means not speaking foolishly. Speakers at assemblies, conferences, and meetings generally speak foolishly like toads. This is described by Srila Rupa Goswami as vacho vegam. One who wants to say something can show himself to be a big orator, but rather than go on speaking nonsense, better to remain silent. This method of silence, therefore, is recommended for persons who are very attached to speaking nonsense. One who is not a devotee, I was just thinking of, anyways, whatever. Too tired to talk. One who is not a devotee must speak nonsensically. One who is not a devotee must speak nonsensically, because he does not have the power to speak about the glories of Krishna. Thus, whatever he says is influenced by the illusory energy and is compared to the croaking of a frog. One who speaks about the glories of the Lord, however, has no need to be silent. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends, Kirtaniya Sada Hari. One should go on chanting the glories of the Lord 24 hours a day. There is no question of becoming mona or silent. The 10 processes for liberation or improvement on the path of liberation are not meant for the devotees. Kevalaya Bhaktya. If one simply engages in devotional service of the Lord, all 10 methods of liberation are automatically observed. Prahlāda Maharaj's proposal is that such processes may be recommended for the Ajitendriya, those who cannot conquer their senses. Devotees, however, have already conquered their senses. Sarvapada vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya. No, that's nice. A devotee is already freed from material contamination. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur therefore said, Dushta mana tumi kisera Vaishnav pratishtara tare nirjanera ghare tava hari na kevala kaitava. Sorry, 1 second. There are many who like to chant the Hare Krishna mantra in a silent, solitary place. But if one is not interested in preaching, talking constantly to the non-devotees, the influence of the modes of nature is very difficult to surpass. Therefore, unless one is extremely advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should not imitate Haridas Thakur, who had no other business than chanting the holy name always, 24 hours a day. Prahlāda Maharaj does not condemn such persons. He accepts it, but without active service to the Lord, simply by such methods, one generally cannot attain liberation. One cannot attain liberation simply by false pride. Rupe ime sarasati tava veda shrishte Bijankura vivavnauchanyar arupakasya yukta shamakshamubhayatra vichakshante tvam yogena vahnimiva darushu nanyata syat. By authorized Vedic knowledge, one can see that the forms of cause and effect in the cosmic manifestation belong to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for the cosmic manifestation is His energy. Both cause and effect are nothing but energies of the Lord. Therefore, O my Lord, just as a wise man, by considering cause and effect, can see how fire pervades wood, those engaged in devotional service understand how you are both the cause and the effect. Purport. Let me just check something here. Haribo Anjali. Okay, so as described in previous verses, many so-called students of spiritual understanding follow the 10 different methods known as Mona, Vrata, Shruta, Tapo, Dhyan, Swadharma, Vyakya, Raho, Japa, Samadhaya. These may be very attractive, but by following such methods, one cannot actually understand the real cause and effect of the original cause of everything, Janmadhyasya Yataha. The original source of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, Sarva Karana Karanam. This original source of everything is Krishna, the Supreme Ruler, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. He has His eternal spiritual form. Indeed, He is the root of everything. Bija Mam Sarvabhutanam. Whatever manifestations exist, their cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This cannot be understood by so-called silence or by any other hodgepodge method. The Supreme Cause can be understood only by devotional service, as stated in Bhagavad Gita bhaktyamam abhijanati. Elsewhere in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11.4.21, the Supreme Godhead personally says, Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. One can understand the original cause of all causes, the Supreme Person, only by devotional service, not by show bottle exhibitionism. We're reading up to 51, I think? Yeah, no, 55. Oh my God. We might not get there. Okay. Tam vayuragniravanirviyaramvumatra pranendriyani hridayam tachidanugrahascha sarvam tameva sugano vigunascha bhumam sai nanyattarastyapi mano vachasa niruktam. O Supreme Lord, you are actually the air, the earth, the fire, sky, and water. You are the objects of the mind, consciousness, and false and anything or by the mind are nothing. This is as the Lord says in Gita 9.4, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagara vyaktam. I exist everywhere, and everything exists in me, yet I am not everywhere. The Lord can be visible only through devotional service. Tatra tishtami narada yatra gayanti madbhakta. The Supreme Lord stays only where His devotees chant His glories. Naite guna nagunu mahada adayo ye sarve mana prabhritaya sahadeva martya adyantavanta urugaya vidanti hitam evam vimrishya shuddhiyo viramanti shabdat. Neither the modes of material nature, Satagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun, nor the predominating deities controlling these three modes, nor the five gross elements, nor the mind, nor the demigods, nor the human beings, none of them can understand your lordship, for they are all subjected to birth and annihilation. Considering this, the spiritually advanced may have taken to devotional service. Such wise men bother with Vedic study. Instead, they engage themselves in practical devotional service. Purport. As stated in several places, Bhaktyamam abhijanati, only by devotional service can the Supreme Lord be understood. The intelligent person, the devotee, does not bother much about the practices mentioned in text 46, Monavrata Shuta Tapo Dhyayana Sadharma. After understanding the Supreme Lord through devotional service, such devotees are no longer interested in studies of the Vedas. Indeed, this is confirmed in the Vedas also. The Vedas say, Kim artavayam adeshyamahe, kim artavayam vakshyamahe. What is the use of studying many Vedic literatures? What is the use of explaining them in different ways? Vayam vakshyamahe. No one needs to study any more Vedic literatures, nor does anyone need to describe them by philosophical speculation. Bhagavad Gita 2.52 also says, Yadate mohakalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedham shrotavasya shrutasya cha. When one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead by executing devotional service, one ceases the practice of studying the Vedic literature. Elsewhere it is said, Aradito yadi haristapasa tata kim. If one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in His service, Then there is no more need of severe austerities, penances, and so on. However, if performing severe austerities and penances, one does not understand the Supreme Lord, if one does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such practices are useless. Tater hatattamanama stuti karma puja karma smritis charanayo shravanam katayam samsevaya tvai vineti sharangaya kim bhaktim jana paramahansa gato labheta. Oh, Krishna. Therefore, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, the best of all persons to whom prayers are offered, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because without rendering 6 kinds of devotional service unto you, offering prayers, dedicating the results of activities, worshipping you, working on your behalf, always remembering your lotus feet. So, without rendering those 6 kinds of devotional service, who can achieve that which is meant for the Paramahamsas? Did I read all of these? Sorry. Offering prayers, dedicating results of all activity, worshipping, working on your behalf, always remembering your lotus feet, and hearing about your glories. If somebody's not doing all that, then how can that person achieve that which is meant for the Paramahamsas? Purport. Sorry, guys. The Vedas enjoin Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo Namedhayana Bahuna Shrutena. One cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by studying the Vedas or offering prayers. Only by the grace of the Supreme Lord can one understand Him. The process of understanding the Lord, therefore, is Bhakti. Without Bhakti, simply following the Vedic injunctions to understand the absolute truth will not be helpful at all. The process of Bhakti is understood by the Paramahansa, who has accepted the essence of everything. The results of Bhakti are reserved for such a Paramahansa, and this stage cannot be obtained by any Vedic processes other than devotional service. Other processes, such as Jnana and Yoga, can be successful only when mixed with Bhakti. When we speak of Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga, the word Yoga indicates Bhakti. Bhakti Yoga, or Buddhi Yoga, executed with intelligence and full knowledge, is the only successful method for going back home, back to Godhead. If one wants to be liberated from the pangs of material existence, he should take the devotional service for a quick attainment of this goal. Oh, Krishna. Śrīnārada uvaca etavad varnita guna bhaktya bhaktena nirguna prahlādam pranatam prito yattamanyur abhashata. The great saint Narad said, "Thus Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva was pacified by the devotee Prahlāda Maharaj with prayers offered from the transcendental platform. The Lord gave up his anger, and being very kind to Prahlāda, who was offering prostrated obeisances, he spoke as follows." The word nirguna is important. The Mayavadi philosophers accept the absolute truth as nirguna or nirakar. The word nirguna refers to one who possesses no material qualities. The Lord, being full of spiritual qualities, gave up his anger and spoke to Prahlāda. Shri Bhagavan uvaca Prahlāda bhadra bhadrang te pritoham te surottama varam vrinishvabhimatam kama purosmaham nirnam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Prahlāda, most gentle one, best of the family of the Asuras, all good fortune unto you. I am very much pleased with you. It is my pastime to fulfill the desires of all living beings. And therefore, you may ask for me any benediction that you require." So you may ask for me any benediction that you desire to be fulfilled. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Bhaktavatsal, the Supreme Personality who is very much affectionate to his devotees. It is not very extraordinary that the Lord offered his devotee all benedictions. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said in effect, I will fulfill the desires of everyone. Since you are my devotee, whatever you want for yourself will naturally be yours. Sorry. Will naturally... Sorry, let me start over again. The Supreme Personality of God said in effect, I fulfill the desires of everyone. Since you are my devotee, whatever you want for yourself will naturally be given. But if you pray for anyone else, that prayer will also be fulfilled. Thus, if we approach the Supreme Lord or his devotee, or if we are blessed by a devotee, naturally we will automatically achieve the benedictions of the Supreme Lord. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that if one pleases the Vaishnava, spiritual master, all one's desires will be fulfilled. Jai prasade pure sarva ash. Oh Krishna. So close. It's already 8 o'clock in India. It's already the stopping time. But let's see. If these aren't long purports, then let's just do them. Oh, they're not. Okay, let's just finish this. Mam aprinata ayushman darshanam tulabam hime drishtva mam vapunar jantur atmanam taptumarhati. Sorry guys, I need to set up. Oh God. 1 second. Nearly finished. Oh, okay. My dear Prahlāda, may you live a long time. One cannot appreciate or understand me without pleasing me. But one who has seen or pleased me has nothing more for which to lament for his own satisfaction. Purport. One cannot be happy under any circumstances unless one pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But one who has learned how to please the Supreme Lord need no longer lament for his material condition. 54. Prinanti hyatamam dira sarvabhavena sadhava shreyaskama mahabhaga sarvasam ashisham patim. My dear Prahlāda, you are very fortunate. Please know from me that those who are very wise and highly elevated try to please me in all different modes of mellows, for I am the only person who can fulfill the desires of everyone. Purport. The words dhira sarva bhavena do not mean in whichever way you like. Bhava is the preliminary condition of love of Godhead. Ata shaktistato bhavastata prema bhidanchati sadakanam ayam premna pradur bhavet kama. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.4.16. The bhava stage is the final division before one reaches love of Godhead. The word sarva bhava means one can love the Supreme Personality of Godhead in different transcendental modes of mellows, beginning with dasya, sakya, vatsalya, and madhurya. In the shanta stage, one is on the border of loving service to the Lord. Pure love of Godhead means from dasya and develops into sakya, vatsalya, and then finally madhurya. Still, in any of these five mellows, one can render devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Since our main business is to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can render service from any of the above-mentioned platforms of love. Oh, Krishna. All right. Thank you so much. Wait, are we reading up to... Oh, we're reading 55 also. How long? Is it a long purport? Sorry, guys. You're being so patient with me. No. Okay. Oh, wow. We're at the end of the chapter. Okay, so Shri Narad Uvacha Evam pralobhyamanopi vararloka pralobhanai ekantitvar bhagavati naichatan asurottama. Narad Muni said, Prahlāda Maharaj was the best person in the family of asuras who always aspire for material happiness. Nonetheless, although allured by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who offered him all benedictions for material happiness, because of his unalloyed Krishna consciousness, he did not want to take any material benefit for sense gratification. Purport. Pure devotees like Prahlāda Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj do not aspire for any material benefit at any stage of devotional service. When the Lord was present before Dhruva Maharaj, Dhruva did not want to take any material benefit from the Lord. Swamin kritarthasmi varam nayache. As a pure devotee, he could not ask the Lord for any material benefit. In this regard, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed us, Na dhanam na janam na sundarim, kavitam va jagadishakamaye, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavatar bhaktir ahaitaki tvai. O my Lord Jagadish, I do not pray for benedictions by which to achieve material wealth, popularity, or beauty. My only desire is to serve you. Kindly engage me in the service of the servant of your servant. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports on the 7th canto, 9th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Prahlāda Pacifies Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva with Prayers. Jai Shri Nṛsiṁha Bhagavan ki Jai, Bhakta Prabhu Shri Prahlāda Maharaj ki Jai. Let's see, what is 10 now? 10. Prahlāda Maharaj refuses to accept material benedictions, and Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva's instructions and Prahlāda's coronation. Then Narada Muni concludes the narration. All right. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Nṛsiṁhadeva, Jaya Nṛsiṁhadeva, Nṛsiṁhadeva, Jaya Nṛsiṁhadeva, Jaya Bhakta Prahlāda, Jaya Bhakta Prahlāda, Bhakta Prahlāda, Jaya Bhakta Prahlāda, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Vihari Ji ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ji ki Jai, Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Shatarashata Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Śrīla Gurudev ki Jai, Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai, Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Śrīla Bhakti Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai, Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupada Śrīla I said Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai, so I guess. Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupada Śrīla Gaurkishore Babaji Maharaj ki Jai, Nitila Pravishtam Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai, Nitila Pravishta Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai, Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Padadas Raghunath Shara Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Rishi Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विराट गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाथ श्री भक्ति विघ्न विनाशंकरी श्री नृसिंह भगवान की जय। श्री भक्त प्रभा श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। श्री ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्-भागवतम की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रील नितिल प्रविष्ट श्रील भक्ति वल्लभ तीर्थ गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट श्रील भक्ति दायित माधव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट श्रील भक्ति प्रमोद पुरी गोसाई महाराज की जय। श्री साप्रसाद श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री रूप गौरी गुरुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रियाय केशवाय कृष्ण भक्ति प्रददेवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Dandavad pranams, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me when I was sleep reading. I was kind of not awake during a lot of that reading. I was just on autopilot mode, just kind of going through it. I'm going to crash out big time hardcore right now. All right. Dandavad pranams, everybody. And the reading tomorrow will be in America. I arrive in Los Angeles airport at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I think, what did Rup Manjari say? What time do we read there? I think I start at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. So, yeah, see you tomorrow for it. And tomorrow, I think, is the last day. It is. It's the last day of our Nṛsiṁhadeva Prahlāda narration. And so then we'll begin the next part. I think it talks a lot about Varnas and ashrams, I think. I don't know, I'm not, yeah, okay. Haribol, see you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe. Yes, okay, I'll secure all my devices first. Oh, it's 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. Okay. See you all. Haribol. Jai Shri Radhe. Thanks for your patience. Haribol.